Let's just get the result out in the open. In the end, I owned everything they thought they were taking from me: the houses, the power, the truth. But the cost was realizing the family I thought I knew was a complete illusion. This whole thing ripped the mask off permanently. The explosion happened at my father's 65th birthday party. I remember the smell of stale cake and that specific cheap perfume my aunt wears. It always smells like desperation. My hands were freezing cold, clutching a napkin under the table. I had thought it was just another awful family dinner. Then my brother's voice cut through the noise. He raised his glass. He always loved an audience. He announced his grand plan. To understand why this moment felt like a firing squad, you have to know how I got back in that house. It started 2 years earlier. My marriage fell apart. I was 32, back in my childhood bedroom. My brother, the successful one, the real estate guy, he loved this. It confirmed his narrative. I was the loser. My parents, they just looked uncomfortable. They were committing the classic error, confusing financial struggle with moral failure. I was just a problem to be managed. So he stood there, my brother smiling at my father. He announced they were all moving. He and his wife found a bigger house. They needed the money from selling Fraw. They estimated they could get $800,000 for it. My father looked confused. He mentioned my name. My brother just laughed. He looked right at me, his eyes completely dead, and told me to pack my bags. He called me a loser in front of everyone. My throat closed up. I couldn't breathe. The worst part wasn't his cruelty. It was the sound that came next, cheering. My family, my aunts, my uncles, they raised their glasses. They celebrated me being made homeless. My mother, she actually smiled. She said this was good for me. She said I needed to learn to stand on my own 2 feet. I had been living there, caring for my father after his heart attack. I was cooking, cleaning, managing his doctors while my brother just sent expensive gift baskets. But that detail didn't matter. The narrative was set. I was the burden. This is the trap you fall into. The helper role often gets mistaken for the leech role, especially if you aren't the one making the most money. My stomach felt like it was full of wet cement. I didn't scream, I just stood up. My chair scraping the floor sounded like a gunshot in the sudden silence. My brother told me not to be dramatic. I walked outside onto the porch. The air was cold. I remember leaning against the railing that 20 Die had repaired just last month. My hands were shaking so hard I dropped my phone. I picked it up and dialed my attorney. He was the only person who knew my secret. This is a background detail they never understood. My divorce wasn't just a failure, it was my liberation. And it made me financially independent, very independent. I asked my lawyer to check the address. He is a sharp guy. He knew this wasn't a casual call. He pulled the county records. I needed him to confirm what I already knew. He read the file. The property had defaulted. It went into foreclosure 18 months ago. My father's pride, his biggest secret. He was too ashamed to tell his successful son. But I had found the letters. The bank didn't care about pride. The house was sold at auction. My attorney paused. He asked who the new owner was. It was an LLC. I told him to read the name of the holding company. He did. I said, "That is me. I am the owner." There was silence on the phone. I used my entire settlement, nearly $1 million. I bought my parents' home out from under the bank to save them. I did it anonymously through a company. Why? Because I knew their shame was deeper than their finances. I wanted to give my father a place to live without our humiliation. I thought I was protecting him, but here is the lesson I paid for. Secrecy in a family, even benevolent secrecy, is poison. It never works. It just creates a fantasy world. And that fantasy world was about to collapse on my brother's head. My lawyer said he would handle the cease and desist letters. I hung up. I felt strangely calm. The shaking stopped. I walked back inside. They were already discussing the pool. My sister-in-law was talking about granite countertops. My brother saw me. He told me to stop sulking. I told him I had just spoken to my attorney. My mother rolled her eyes. She said I couldn't afford an attorney. I ignored her. I said, "I just wanted to clarify something about the sale." My brother laughed. He asked what I was talking about. This is our parents' house. I looked at my father, then I said it. It is not. The room didn't just get quiet, it died. The air left it. My brother's face is that confident real estate developer smirk. It just melted. It slid right off his face. He stammered. He said I was lying. I explained it very simply. The foreclosure, the auction, the LLC, my divorce settlement. My sister-in-law's mouth was wide open. She asked if I had $900,000. She was angry that I had money and was living like I was broke. Her priorities were crystal clear. This is the moment you see who people really are. They weren't upset about the lie. They were upset that the money wasn't theirs. My mother started crying, but not tears of gratitude, tears of confusion. My father, he just looked gray. He finally understood. He asked me if I saved the house. I said yes. He asked if I let them live here for free. I said yes. He started to laugh. It was a horrible broken sound. He said they treated me like a freeloader. My brother, he couldn't handle this. He wasn't the savior anymore. He was the fool, so he did what cowards do. He issued an ultimatum. He told my parents to choose me, the liar daughter, or him, the successful son. I expected to be thrown out again. I really did. I braced for it, but my father stood up. He was shaking. He walked over and put his hand on my shoulder. He chose me. He chose the daughter who saved the home. My mother followed. She chose me. My brother's face was something I will never forget. It was pure, unfiltered rage. He grabbed his wife. He left. He screamed that they would never see their grandchildren again. The rest of the family, all those cheerleaders, they just evaporated. They made excuses and fled. It was just the three of us left in the wreckage of the party. The weeks after were quiet. My parents and I had to learn how to talk again. There was so much shame. They apologized. I apologized for the secret. We were rebuilding. Then my brother called. His voice was small. He had found another house, a smaller one. He couldn't afford his dream. Without my money, reality had set in. He apologized. He missed the family. He wanted the kids to see their grandparents. I let him back in slowly. I'm telling you this story as a warning, not as a victory. My father told me I was the successful one, not because of the money, but because I showed up. But that is a dangerous lesson too. Here is the real rule I want you to take away from this. Please listen. Your value in a family is not defined by your bank account or by how much you sacrifice. Be careful of the golden child narrative. Be careful of the family failure narrative. They are just stories. They are traps. And here's the biggest warning sign. If you are the only one giving and everyone else is only taking, you are not in a family. You are in a transaction, and you are the one getting sold. The moment someone in your life calls you a loser to justify their own gains, that is not a negotiation. That is your exit cue. I just wish I had taken mine sooner.